New videos every day.
Do you like to eat meat? I know I like to eat meat, but how safe is it? Here are 5 things that every meat eater should know. Have you ever wondered why red meat gets such a bad rap? It's not because of the meat itself. Cattle are designed to eat grass and do just fine on grass. They don't need anything else. Grass is exactly what they need to eat, and everything, all of their nutrients come from grass, so there isn't an issue as far as what they need. The problem comes in with conventional agriculture. The cattle are finished off, or in the last part of their years or time, they are put into feedlots. And in these feedlots, they are fed a very high corn diet or a high grain diet. And this is not how they were designed to eat. They weren't designed to have grains in their system. They have a specific bacteria in their stomachs, and that bacteria is really designed for grass, not for grains. So when they're fed grains, they get sick. They have diarrhea and they're prone to infections and just a whole host of problems because of the diet that they're eating that they're not designed for. Because of this, they have a need for antibiotics to counteract the grains that they're being fed. Grains in themselves change the structure of the fats inside of the meats, and that is the part actually that is so dangerous for people. It's the fats. They become very saturated, much more so than if the cattle were raised on grass. And the omega-6 and omega-3 content also gets altered so that there is too high of a level of omega-6. So because of how they're raised is actually what makes them more to get the bad rap and be unhealthy for you. And this is a reason why going local or having meats from a local grower is much, much healthier and completely takes away the issues that you have in mass production meats. So after knowing the bad rap that red meat gets, you may think, okay, chicken, I can do chicken. It's promoted as a healthier meat. However, chicken has its problems too. The broiler meat the broiler chickens that are raised are fed arsenic towards the end of their feeding cycle or the time that they're raised in the houses. And arsenic is given at the end so that the chickens will swell and plump up for some weight gain, and it's just a water gain. If the chicken is allowed to sit for a while, the arsenic will evaporate out or work itself out, but it still remains within the meat. And there is an allowance given by the government of how much arsenic parts per million we're allowed to eat per day. Another sort of collateral damage from the arsenic is the litter or the manure or the poop from the chickens has to be disposed of. Otherwise, it would just continue building up within the houses. And this is generally put out on pastures to fertilize. Sounds great. However, the arsenic gets down into the groundwater, and there have been cases where people have gotten very rare cancers from the arsenic that shows up in the groundwater. So chicken does have its issues, and again, another reason to go local, find smaller growers that don't do this practice and don't put arsenic into the feed. The third thing that I think every meat eater should know and understand is the environment that they're in, that the animals are in when they're raised. Imagine you're at a concert or you're on the subway or you're somewhere in a really crowded environment. You're just wall-to-wall people, you can hardly move, forget sitting down, or you just are very uncomfortable because so many people are mashing and bumping against you. Now take that and imagine that it's your life 24/7. You get no breaks. You constantly have people around you. You're going to emit stress hormones. Your body's going to release stress hormones because you're under stress with so many people around you. Well, it's no different for an animal. When they're in a confined situation and there are 7,000 birds or 10,000 birds or 100 cattle in a pen, they're going to have the same stress hormones released into the body because of their environment. And there is no break. There is no, well, I'll take a break and I'll come over here and I'll get away from everybody. They can't experience that. So the stress that they experience is in the meat when you eat it. It's something that stays in the meat and it can't be taken out. And that is another part of the meat that makes it unsafe and unhealthy for you. The fashion in which your meat is raised, slaughtered, and processed is going to affect the safety of the meat. And probably the key point to remember is meat and meat production is a for-profit enterprise. No one is in it to lose money. Every single grower and big producer and feedlot and packer and processing company is in it for business and for money. So understanding that the companies out there are going to do what's in the best interest for their bottom line helps you to understand that health and safety of the animals and of the quality of the meat is not going to be necessarily at the forefront unless it's affecting their bottom line. So once again, I'm going to encourage that you buy your meats from local growers. Buying from a local grower, they're going to be smaller. They're not going to have all the middlemen involved. Yes, they are trying to make a living in raising animals and selling the meat, but they have a vested interest. Because they have fewer animals, every animal matters. One chicken matters. If that one chicken is sick or dies, it matters. They have an emotional interest in what they're selling to the consumer or to you. And you can go talk to them and they have to answer to you. So they're going to be more concerned about what you have to say in the meat that you buy from them. When we had our meats business, we talked directly to the consumer or the people that bought from us. They like to know how we raised our meats. They like to know how they were slaughtered. They like to know how they were processed. They like to know how old the meat was, or everything about it we could answer. And we weren't an employee at some large corporation that it didn't matter what we said, we still went home with a job at the end of the day and got paid no matter what. We had to answer for what we were doing, and that meant a lot to the people that bought from us. And they felt very safe and secure in what they got and what they purchased. So knowing that these big companies have a corporate interest or a profit interest in the meats that they produce and sell, you may be thinking, whew, okay, well, at least the government has me covered and they're out for my best interests and they're going to make sure that everything is safe and okay. But that's not exactly the case. These companies, Pilgrim and Tyson and Oscar Mayer and all of the companies that are large, massive corporations are going to have lobbyists that are going to promote legislation that's in their favor. And they will spend millions of dollars to make millions of dollars. And it's not that the growers necessarily or the farmer that's actually doing the work out there feeding the animals and cleaning the pens and cleaning the cages is directly at fault. Their understanding of things is exactly what they're told. It's really more where the interest comes into the profits, and the government's going to respond to that because of the lobbyists and the supporters that help to keep them in office. So don't rely on the government don't automatically rely on the government to keep everything safe or to assume that everything is in your best interest. It's better if you can actually take control of the choices that you make in your food purchases and go local. That's where you have control. You have control in who you buy your meat from, and you can ask questions directly to the meat provider that you choose. And some of the best places are at your local farmers market. If you found this information helpful or useful, share it with your friends. We need to get the information out there so that people have a better understanding of how their food is grown and what they can actually do about it. Now, in future videos, I'll talk about meat and weight loss and how different diets like the Atkins diet or the paleo diet can help you to lose weight, but with a better understanding of which one is actually better for you. And in another future video, I'll talk about different ways that you can incorporate vegetables into your diet and not even know that you're eating them. Give me a thumbs up in the likes and subscribe to the channel. And please visit my website, treasuredearthfoods.com.